This is another way to look at it, and this is the feedback mechanism that we use to score the forecast and provide ways for forecasters to see how they're doing. It's called a Breyer score, and it basically squares the distance between your forecast and the outcome. So the farther away you are, the more pain you feel. And it ranges from 2, which is the worst possible, to a 0, which is absolute complete crystal ball. And if you just randomly throw numbers out, you'll get a 0.67. Most forecasters land at about 0.4, super forecasters 0.14, and the intelligence analysts were somewhere in between there. And you can read more about it. And what it really is a cycle, right? Is the way we think about it. The forecasting piece is one part, but it goes into everything else as well. And this is the way we kind of lay it out. It's nothing original, but it helps us think about the different steps that need to go on to have a good, high quality probability estimate. And it starts with the decision, and that's also where it ends. And what we've seen in the division of labor is often people who are good at one part of the process may not necessarily be that good in other parts of the process. And in particular, when it comes to coming up with the right questions, that's really where subject matter experts really shine, because they can help us understand what are the issues that we need to quantify in some meaningful way to help decision makers make the decisions they're going to be making. They're not always necessarily so good at coming up with the probability estimate itself. They can, but and I'll show a little bit more later on. It's something that needs to be established rather than assumed at the outset. And then also giving the information back to the decision maker in a way that's useful is really important. As forecasters may really like to get deep into the weeds, the decision maker may want to have something much more simple that's going to be easier to make big decisions. So, and in particular, the probabilities come in 2 places. There's a decision itself. So if you're going to be making a decision about some event, say the Republican winning the US presidential election, it's unlikely you're going to get a forecast of 100%. So at what point would you be making decisions if that's an important factor in your decision making? Is it a 50%, 60%? What is it? And that's something that's good to set in advance, even if it changes as time goes on. But it's helpful to set in advance so we can report information back. And then the forecasters, of course, come up with the probability estimate itself. Then you can align the forecast with the threshold, and it helps decision makers see just where things are with their crowd. So I want to spend a little bit of time on the decision-making side of it with a few illustrations. And the dominant way of making forecasts remains language. We really like numbers. Here's a really striking example of why numbers are good. Some of you may recognize this as the Bay of Pigs. And this is back 50 plus years ago, 6 years ago, when a new president came into office and inherited a plan to invade Cuba to replace the regime there. And what he did is he asked his intelligence analysts, will it be successful? Their response was, the timely execution of this plan has a fair chance of success. Okay, well, what does fair chance of success mean? Well, if you would go back to Delfinio, and let's see what this crowd thinks about that. And you should see a new question pop up that asks, when the CIA, what does the CIA mean by a fair chance of success? What number would you associate with that phrase? Again, from 0 to 100, if you could just take a moment to put that in. And I see him coming in. That's great. Oh, wait, maybe 10 seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you. So let's take a look at the results. And once again, we have a wide range, 0 to 85. So it can mean